A common question for those reaching retirement as well as those already retired is, do I need long-term care and do I need a plan? A common question for those that already have a long-term care policy is, hey, do I need to keep my long-term care policy? So years ago, it was a lot easier and a lot more affordable to plan for long-term care. But over the past several years, with the advancement of science, overall medicine and overall healthcare, most of us are living a lot longer. Longevity is real. And in fact, the Society of Actuaries has stated that there's more than a 50% chance that one spouse can live past the age of actually 92, and over a 25% chance that one of the spouses will live past the age of 97. Okay, so this is obviously something that insurance companies that were doing long-term care policies didn't quite plan for back 20 or 30 years ago. But however, it's undoubtedly an issue for them now. So over the years, the industry has not only seen higher premiums on traditional long-term care policies, but they've also seen double-digit increases on existing policies. And many insurers have stopped actually doing long-term care policies or have gone out of the business. So in addition, it has made it more difficult to and expensive actually to get a long-term care policy. It's also been more difficult to underwrite because it's almost given to you almost have to have a perfect health in order to again get a long-term care policy, or it's going to be very expensive. So with all this being said, experience in my business over the last 20 plus years has proven that those that have a long-term care plan or those that have a long-term care policy have a lot greater flexibility and a lot more quality of care when it comes time for this to be needed. However, we know that there's challenges in incorporating a uh, and even keeping a long-term care plan or policy as part of your retirement plan. So I've formulated here 4 questions that we can begin to analyze uh, and analyze them in a way to see, okay, how can we incorporate long-term care into your retirement plan? Now, the answers that you might give to some of this are a guess, but however, the answers will start kind of formulating in your mind a roadmap to, how should we do it, and start looking at again ways to do it. Now, the first question is, what is your family history? How much of risk are you? You know, if you already are very unhealthy, then obviously long-term care planning is going to be a little difficult and extremely expensive. If you have a lot of longevity in your family, for example, your mom and dad, sisters and brothers, everybody's living into their 90s and hundreds, then it can be simple to do and inexpensive to plan up front. But obviously, knowing that you're going to live a very, very long time, over time is going to be expensive. So that's one way to answer that question. This other question is very important to understand. How much assets do you have, and how much income do you have, and can you self-insure? Now, obviously, we know that self-insuring is the easiest way possible to cover your long-term care, but also is the most expensive way possible to cover for long-term care. The other thing you have to understand is how much assets do you have and how much income do you have? Do you have enough assets and income to cover both of you? Okay, if you're married, obviously to cover both spouses. Because if all the assets and income are used to cover one spouse that needs care, and then there's nothing left to cover the next spouse, is you're in trouble. And I've had this case happen before that because of dementia or Alzheimer's, there's a spouse that needs care. They have care for a very, very long time. it basically dwindles down all their assets and their income, and then there's nothing left for the other spouse. And then once you get to that situation, unfortunately, you're kind of out of luck. Okay. So question number 3 is one that I'm sort of sensitive to. Um, are you a single female or a widowed female? Obviously, you can be a male too, but I'm a little bit more sensitive towards females when it comes to this question. As you are older, you have to understand that everybody around you is also aging. It's not just you getting older and everybody stays the same. Everybody is aging as well. And the older that you get and the more assistance that you need, well, as your friends are dying off and your family might be out in another state, and also understand that most of your family is, they have their own way of life and their own issues at that time that they're dealing with, your care starts getting harder and harder and harder. So with a long-term care policy or a long-term care plan, obviously these decisions, if you're a female, if you're a single female, these decisions are kind of already made for you. So you have more flexibility, and all you have to do is point a finger in the direction and everything is done. Now, in my opinion, okay, again, as I stated before, I'm a little bit more sensitive to females and when it comes to this matter, you need to have a form of a long-term care policy or plan. I just always am more sensitive towards females. Obviously, if you're male, you should have too, but I always get a little bit more sensitive towards females when it comes to this. Number 4, are there other ways to cover long-term care expenses? Aside from traditional long-term care policies, which we know that, number 1, they're hard to get, and number 2, they're more expensive to get nowadays, there are different plans that have come into play in the last 10 to 15 years. Most plans, or all plans, are insurance driven. It's from an insurance company. So one of my favorite plans is what's called a hybrid plan, which is a combination of long-term care and life insurance. Now, these hybrid plans, what I like about them as well is that, let's say that you don't go into a facility or you don't need care, okay? You can, unlike a long-term care policy, is that the money that is set aside for your care can actually very easily transfer to a beneficiary or a spouse without any problems. So it gives you a lot greater flexibility with those assets. Now, there are a couple of plans out there that I call hybrid. One is a life insurance and long-term care plan. They're combined. Obviously, you know that you're going to use one or the other. Nobody stays alive forever, and chances are you will need some form of long-term care. The other one is a fixed annuity. These are very easy to get. The great thing about these fixed annuities is that if you need care, no matter what the care is that they will double and triple the income, or triple the income that comes out of the fixed annuity. I like those pretty good. They're very easy to get, okay? Other funding methods are, obviously, if you have home equity, or you can use reverse mortgage. The other one that I like very much, and is actually often underused, is what's called a VA aid and attendance benefit. Now understand that this is only available to veterans who served during a war, they served active duty during wartime. Okay, now you got to understand that there were times in our history that people have been veterans and they served, but it wasn't a declared war. Okay, but again, this is a government program. There are hurdles that you need to cross. It takes time to go to get it. So even though it's a great benefit for spouses, and for single people as well, it is hard to get. So long-term care planning overall has to be a crucial part of a successful retirement. How we do it can vary in a variety of ways, but it has to be part of a successful retirement plan. So regardless of your feelings about it, but there are a lot greater challenges going forward for our aging retirees. I will always make sure and try to make sure that we are covering long-term care as part of your plan, but it's important again and crucial that it does become part of your plan, because what happens is when you need care, you don't want to be in a situation that all of a sudden you put your family unit in a mess as they're trying to seek out how to do it. And it also, when you need the care, it is very, very expensive. So with that being said, I'll see you next time on Financial QB TV. Give me a call if you need more information on how to establish a good long-term care plan into your successful retirement plan. I'll see you next time.